Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a beginner's guide to trail running. I've been trail running for a few years now, so these are just some of the things that I picked up along the way. So if you're new to trail running or thinking about getting into it, then this is the one for you. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below and I'll do my best to get back to you. I'm not saying that I'll have all the answers, but I'll try my best. Enjoy! What actually is trail running? Essentially, it's anything that's off-road, generally speaking. So it can be gravelly, like this kind of thing, or single-track trail, or forestry trail, fire roads. There's lots of different types of trail that all comes under the umbrella of trail running. Why is trail running so good, I hear you ask? Well, there's so many benefits. First and foremost, the scenery, the stuff that you get to see while running is just so varied and so lovely. I'm here on the North Downs Way at the moment and it's just, oh, I'll pause my watch. And I'm just surrounded by amazing trees and wildlife. It's just so lovely. So number one is lovely scenery. Secondly, it's a good way to strengthen your muscles. So because you're running on uneven ground, it's a great way to strengthen your ankles. So you get a bit of that uneven surface to strengthen up all the little stability muscles in your ankles, which is great. You get the strength and benefits from running and hiking up hills. So loads of strength benefits with trail running as well. A lot of people find that the softer surfaces is a lot kinder on your body as well. So you don't get that pounding that you would if you're running on tarmac or concrete on the roads. It's just lovely, soft and bouncy surfaces. And because of all the hills and the elevation and the change in terrain, it means that your pace kind of goes out the window. So it's much less about pace and much more about just enjoying the outside and the fresh air. You start out your trail running journey, all you need is what you normally use for your runs, but there are a few things that will make your trail running experience a lot nicer, and here they are. So the first one is some proper trail running shoes. So if you're running your trails in the summer, you might not actually need them and you can probably get away with your normal road shoes because the ground you don't require that much grip. However, in the autumn and winter seasons, you'll benefit a lot and have a much more enjoyable experience if your shoes have like grip underneath, like the lugs. I'll put some pictures up on the screen of the kind of thing I mean. Other thing that I have found to be super useful on the trails is having a pack that I can store my drinks and snacks and things. So something like this I found is amazing, or you can get the ones that go around your waist that are a bit smaller and have a smaller capacity, but there's loads of different options out there. The other thing, actually, there is a third thing that's super useful, is having a means of navigation. So I have navigation on my watch so I can download routes so I know I won't get lost. Hi, just a quick note to say that if you don't have navigation functionality on your watch, that's fine. You can of course just follow a route that's already marked or use your phone for navigation, but I just found that it makes things a lot easier just to have it right there on my wrist, and just gives me the extra confidence knowing that I'm not going to miss a turn or miss a sign. I appreciate not everyone has the budget for that, but if you do really end up getting into it, it's a great bit of kit to invest in. And as I said, it's just really super convenient just to have it right there in front of you all the time, rather than having to get your phone out or get a map out to check that you're going the right way. So it's definitely, it's one less thing to think about. Okay, back to the video. So where do we even start with trying to find somewhere to run? Where are these trails? So a good place to start, if you're in the UK, is the Long Distance Walking Association, or the LDWA. On there, there's I think maybe every single walking route, like listed walking route across the whole country, and files that you can download to put on your navigation device. So that's a really good place to start. The thing that we tend to do quite a lot of is, especially if we're going abroad, is look at the list of UTMB qualifying races. So the UTMB, if you haven't heard of it, you will eventually hear of it once you really get into your trails, but they have a huge list of qualifying races. It's just a great directory of hundreds of trails in any country, of loads of different elevation profiles, difficulties, lengths, so that's a really good place to look as well. You can also use the Strava heat maps tool in the route builder, so if you're in like a mountainous place, you can scope out all the routes. If you're not a subscriber of Strava, then unfortunately that isn't available to you, but Garmin also have a similar thing on theirs that you can turn on, essentially the same thing, the heat map. So that's a really helpful way of finding things as well. You might think as well that living in London you don't have access to all these trails, but you couldn't be more wrong. So we actually have, there's a route that goes all the way around London called the Capital Ring. I think it's about 78 miles, and that you can do in sections. There is also an even bigger one that's further around the outside of London called the London Loop, which is 150 miles. There's also the Green Chain Walk, which goes, it's more of a southeast London thing, but it's a lovely route. You can also get the tube out to Epping Forest, you can get the train up to Wendover into the woods, you can get the train down to Dorking and do some of the South Downs Way. There's also Richmond Park. All the parks, you can do some like little off-roady bits on the sides of the path. That's a good place to start. So yeah, lots of options even if you're in a big city. Oh, another thing on the kit list I forgot to mention that's really useful that you might not have thought of is getting some socks that are a little bit longer than normal kind of ankle socks, because when you're running on kind of gravelly, stony bits, they'll get in your socks and it's super annoying because you get that little hole where your ankle bump is. But if you get socks that are slightly longer, you won't have that happen. The stones will still go in your shoes, but it's a little bit easier to get out than having to take your sock off. So yeah, get some socks that are a little bit longer than normal ankle length trainer socks. Okay, now I've just got some extra little useful tips for you. So the first one, I touched on it a bit at the beginning, but is to ignore your pace. So the elevation and the terrain will mean that you'll be going a lot slower than you're probably normally used to. So if you normally run a 5k in half an hour, be prepared for it to take you about an hour. So you're going to be out a lot longer than you might originally think. But don't be disheartened, don't let it put you off. It's perfectly normal and no one cares what your pace is on Strava. Another thing is to make sure that you stop frequently to just absorb your surroundings, especially when you're starting out. You'll be looking down at your feet, making sure that you're not going to trip over. So just take 5 minutes every now and then, just stop, appreciate why you're doing this and everything that's around you. And make sure you walk the uphills. There's absolutely no shame in that at all. Preserve your energy and then fly on the downhills. The final point, and arguably the most important, is safety. So your pack isn't only useful for carrying your water and gels and food, but it's really important to have some basic mandatory, or what I would consider mandatory equipment, such as waterproof jacket, mini first aid kit with some plasters, a bandage and some safety pins, a foil blanket, your mobile phone, and then other useful stuff like a bath or gloves to keep you warm in the cold, because you never know, especially if you're out in mountainous conditions, the temperature can change so quickly, the weather can change, so it's always best to be prepared in terms of your kit and stay safe out there. So that is my little guide to trail running in a nutshell. Give me a like and a subscribe if you enjoyed. There'll be plenty more of this kind of thing in the future, which I'm looking forward to filming for you guys. And I guess I'll see you next time. Bye!